Hey, what's up you guys? Today I wanted to do a video wrapping up everything that I read / watched in the month of April 2020. So this month I read a lot, I watched a lot, it's been a pretty busy month. I've been home all month because of social distancing, and so I've just had a lot of time on my hands. So I was able to read a lot and watch a lot, and I just had overall a pretty good reading month, even though it has been a little bit weird. Let's kick it off with the first thing that I read this month, which I actually read mostly in March. I just finished it in April, which is Good Omens. So I've got a book talk for that. So Good Omens is about a demon and an angel teaming up to kind of stop the apocalypse. And I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a little bit weird at times. And the parts where Azrael and Crowley weren't in it as much, I just felt were kind of off. They didn't have the same humor that the rest of the book had, but I did still really enjoy that book. And I do highly recommend it if that is something that you think you would enjoy. It is very much like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so do check that out if that was a movie that you liked. And then right after I read that, I actually watched the TV show that went along with it. And this is one of those situations where I felt like the adaptation was better than the book itself. I absolutely loved the TV show. I felt like Azrael and Crowley, they both had such bigger roles in that TV show. And it was just such a fun ride from start to finish. And I gave the TV show 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the actors in the TV show, like I just love Michael Sheen and I love David Tennant. Like David Tennant is just fantastic in everything that he's in. So do check that show out. It's on Amazon Prime. So after I finished Good Omens, I moved on to another trilogy, which was the Cruel Prince trilogy. So that's The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. And I've got book talks for all 3 of those as well. Check them out up here. But for The Cruel Prince, I gave that a 4.5 out of 5, and The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, I both gave those 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the series as a whole. I loved the writing style and I loved the characters, and I just thought it was so fun. I did feel like in the second and third books the characters didn't stay as consistent as I would have liked them to, so that's why I knocked those ones down that 0.5 star, but I did really enjoy the series as a whole. And so if Holly Black's writing style is something that you enjoy, I would check those books out. They kind of remind me a little bit of Cassandra Clare's writing style, especially with her later books, not really so much the first Mortal Instruments books, but with her later ones, the writing style just felt very similar, where there's just constant excitement and you're always on the edge of your seat. And the way that the story builds, it builds very well so that it's not too much at the beginning, but it's also not too boring at the end. The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing are about a mortal girl growing up in a fairy world and having to deal with the implications of that, and having to deal with the politics that that involves, and her trying to find a place and fit in with that society that she grows to love. So after all of that, I watched the TV show Community, which is about a study group in a community college just trying to make it through community college. And that show is honestly so funny. The first 4 seasons are. The first 4 seasons are so funny and so amazing. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars because the last 2 seasons are not that great, but it is still really funny, and it takes such a satirical look on different movie tropes and things like that. So there are like episodes where they've got like paintball episodes, and so they'll make it like a Western film, or they'll make it like Star Wars. After Community, I watched the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall with my family, which is not a very family film. So Forgetting Sarah Marshall is about this guy who is dating this very famous TV show actress named Sarah Marshall, and she breaks up with him for another dude. And so he is just heartbroken, and he's trying to essentially forget Sarah Marshall and move on from her. And so he winds up going to a Hawaiian resort that Sarah Marshall also happens to be staying at. And so from there, everything just kind of snowballs, and it's just a really funny movie. It's got Russell Crowe in it, and what's her name? The girl who's in The Good Place and who plays Anna. I don't remember her name right now. And it's just a really funny film. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I was rewatching it this month. And after that, I rewatched another comedy movie, which is The Hangover, and I absolutely love The Hangover. I think it is one of the best comedies out there. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It is so funny. If you don't know what The Hangover is about, I don't know where you've been, but it is about a guy who has his bachelor party, and after his bachelor party, his friends cannot find him, and they all got super drunk and hammered, and they cannot remember the night before, and so they have to figure out where Doug is, the guy who's supposed to be getting married, before his actual actual wedding. And it's just so funny because they're trying to uncover this mystery, but it's just, they went off the walls with this bachelor party, and so they're just trying to figure out what they did. So after The Hangover, I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. And so Ready Player One is a story about this guy who is trying to hunt for a video game Easter egg to win a huge grand prize for this immersive video game called Oasis. It's like the Oculus, where it's like virtual reality type video game, and so he's trying to figure out where this Easter egg is with a bunch of other people. They're not really working together, but they kind of are, but they're not really, to try to get this Easter egg so that they can prevent these other bad guys from getting control of it. And so it is a super fun adventure story, and I did enjoy it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because it wasn't a perfect book, but it was a lot of fun. If you are someone who likes the 80s, you're gonna get a lot of references out of it. If you like those original Atari video games, you're gonna get a lot of stuff out of it. Me personally, I thought that it was a little bit heavy on the references, and it kind of relied on them to keep the story going occasionally, and for me that's just not what I'm looking for when I'm reading a book. I did enjoy it, there were some parts that were a little bit boring and a little bit dry. And then after that, I watched the Ready Player One movie. I apologize if you can hear my family downstairs. And it was terrible. Oh my god, I gave that a 2 out of 5 stars. I'm so disappointed with that movie. At first I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. I like how the graphics are kind of like video game graphics. And then they went and changed the entire story, and I'm like, why? It was already like pretty exciting as it was, and it made a lot of sense before in the book, where they're trying to like figure out what's going on. They're not really told a whole lot. They're given these very inconsequential clues to try to figure out how to find the egg. But in the movie, it's very straightforward how to find the egg. Don't get me wrong, the little games and stuff that he has set up, they have tricks to them. The creator of the video game, they've got tricks to them, but it's just not the same as trying to figure out what all these clues mean. And I don't understand why they would try to uncover all of the secrets of this one dude's life if it just is a racing game to begin with. Like, they don't even know anything other than it's a racing game, and they have to try and beat it, and they haven't been able to beat it in 5 years. I was very upset with that movie. So after that, I read the Six of Crows duology, which I made a book talk for. I have not edited it or posted it yet, but I will do that hopefully sometime in the next couple weeks. Same goes for Ready Player One. So if I get those edited and posted, I'll put them up above, but we'll see what happens with that. But I absolutely loved Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Those were both phenomenal books. I love the characters in them so much. The characters really hold those stories together, and the plots are so exciting too. Cass and Inej, they honestly made me so happy. Nina and Matthias were the two that really coupled up throughout those books. Like, you actually got to see them be a couple, and I loved it. And I loved Jesper and Wyland and seeing them develop and deal with their issues. I absolutely loved it. I loved all of the characters in it. I highly recommend that you check those books out if you haven't. Everything in those books is just so fun and exciting, and those books really build well. They don't start off too fast. The pacing is just perfect throughout them. So I absolutely adore those books. I gave them both a 5 out of 5 stars. After that duology, I started Listen to Your Heart this month, which is a Bachelor Presents thing. So it's the Bachelor Presents Listen to Your Heart. It's on ABC on Monday nights, I believe. It is some fantastic trash TV. So I am a big fan of The Bachelor to begin with, and Listen to Your Heart has just been really fun to watch so far. So I do recommend checking that out if you haven't. It is not the best Bachelor show The Bachelor's ever put on. It's not quite as good as like Bachelor in Paradise, because with Bachelor in Paradise you kind of know everyone going into the show. So for a Bachelor TV show, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but it is still some great trash right now for being stuck at home and for trying to social distance and doing your part. After after that, I started rereading Vampire Academy, and I reread Vampire Academy, and I reread Frostbite. And for Vampire Academy, I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars, and for Frostbite, I gave that a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I love Vampire Academy because it's so funny, and Rose is such a badass. And I love the friendship dynamic between Rose and Lissa. It really reminds me of growing up with like my best friend and having that best friend there and always kind of relying on each other and being to almost like sense each other's moods without having to talk. I know with Rose and Lissa, they've got that bond or whatever, but even without that, as best friends, that is something that like you can almost kind of do with someone. And so it just reminds me of that, and I really love it, and it's so fun. It is a little slow occasionally, but it is still a great book. Frostbite is also pretty great. It's got kind of the same flaw as Vampire Academy, where it does get a little slow at times, and with Frostbite, it also has some really bad world building in it because it's just a lot of info dumps, and you'll get info dumps for stuff that happened in the Vampire Academy book that you don't really need, in my opinion. Like, you don't have to remember every detail of Vampire Academy to be able to read Frostbite and enjoy it, but it feels like in Frostbite they try to shove every detail from Vampire Academy into it, which is my biggest issue with Frostbite, especially in the beginning of the book. But you also get to meet Adrian in Frostbite, so it's really hard to say that I don't like Frostbite because I love Adrian. So yeah, the first 2 books in the Vampire Academy series are not my favorites, but I know that after this, the rest of them, I just absolutely love them. So this next month, I'm going to be rereading them, and I'm super excited. The last movie that I watched this month was We're the Millers, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. It is about a group of people who come together to do some drug smuggling. So there is a drug dealer, there is a stripper, there is a random white kid, and there is a homeless female. They all come together, pretend to be a family, and do some drug smuggling, sorry, let me get it straight. And it's so funny. It is definitely rated R. All of the comedies that I've mentioned in this review are rated R, but it is a fantastic movie, so funny. The characters are so great. I love the scene, if you know what I'm talking about, where that one dude just starts going on the "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" song. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. That movie is just a hodgepodge of funny moments where this family that isn't a family is trying to act like a family, but they're also kind of being a family at the same time. It's just so fun. Such a ride. So if you are an adult, do check that movie out. So that's everything that I read and watched in the month of April. I know it was a lot, so thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what your favorite reads and watches for the month of April were. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. I post videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, so I will see you then. Goodbye!